Hello! In this episode, I'll go deeper into one of the most mysterious places in Africa, the Sahara Desert here. We'll look for water, watch caravans, and spend evenings by the campfire, where locals openly share stories that stick in your mind for a long time.
Is it okay if you marry a girl of 15 years old?
Yes, no problem.
Yes?
You'll see what life looks like where water is worth more than gold, and children work from a young age so the family can survive. We'll talk about shocking traditions, early marriages, Bedouin life, and the daily struggle against the merciless heat.
Good morning. I haven't even crawled out of the tent yet, but the local kids are already here. I've covered myself up as much as possible from the sun today because I'm traveling deeper into the mountains. The goal is to reach a vital water source and catch a view of it looking down from above. It's supposed to be a very, very beautiful place where camels gather, so the local girls are escorting me so I don't get lost in the mountains in this scorching desert heat. As for the girls, once they reach 14 or 15 years of age, are married off. If they don't marry by then, a massive stigma surrounds them, and the entire village begins to look at them cross-eyed. If a girl isn't married by 20, it implies that something is already deeply wrong with her.
Marriages are often arranged by families, not always out of choice, but out of tradition and the logic of survival. In some places, girls are married off in their teens, sometimes even earlier, and the decisions are made by the family, not themselves. Parents or relatives look at the other family's reputation and whether there's a chance to strengthen bonds, sometimes even through livestock, land, or basic survival security. If both sides agree, negotiations begin. They talk practically about expenses and how the girl would transition into the husband's family. While the girl's own opinion matters in some places, it is often just a part of the process. After the agreement, an official engagement follows. Families mark this with a joint gathering, sometimes involving food and music, and from that moment, it is considered a binding commitment. And this isn't just a phenomenon of one specific place. This model still exists across many communities in the Sahel zone, where life depends on water, livestock, and a fragile balance between survival and tradition.
A moment of rest looks just like this, hidden behind a rock right on the sand. Majestic mountains, but not a living soul around. I saw some donkeys at the very beginning, but that's all. The water source is gone. It's tough to cross through them, and all life just vanishes.
Even though my mind is still spinning with thoughts about how life paths and marriage are chosen around here, I am currently standing in a place that looks absolutely unreal. The Ennedi Mountains are like a labyrinth of sand and stone, carved by the wind into arches and towers over thousands of years. Even with heavy thoughts weighing on my mind, it's impossible not to be amazed. This is the Sahara, cruel, beautiful, and amazing at the exact same time.
I've finally reached my finish line. Trekking through all these mountains and sand dunes, I've finally made it to a water source. A small lake has formed here, and interestingly, crocodiles live in this spot. However, the locals haven't seen any babies in a long time, leading them to suspect that the 8 crocodiles living here are all males. It looks like they will eventually be gone. Maybe we'll even see some animals coming here soon, camels or little goats, which these crocodiles probably snap at, because you definitely couldn't find any other meat around here.
Ow.
Did you see how I got whacked with a bundle of twigs for filming and photographing? At least we're playful about it. The girls impressively endure the heat. For about 3 hours they did not drink a drop of water. They feel good, energetic. And here I am, marching along, having drunk a lot of water.
Walking through these villages on the edge of the Sahel, it's hard for me to detach from what I see. Girls here grow up fast. Too fast. In some communities, girls transition quickly into adult life after an early marriage. This means that a new family often brings early responsibility. Managing a household is followed quickly by the most serious challenge, motherhood. Not as a choice, but as a necessity. Watching this from the outside, the hardest thing to grasp is how fast a life changes, from playing with siblings to a role where every day is a duty. This isn't a simple story with one truth. For some, it is accepted, for others imposed, and for others, simply inevitable.
I can't even imagine how girls at such a young age can become someone's wives. It's a completely different world.
I'm visiting a small village on the Ennedi Plateau. Here, the houses are woven from twigs and clay, like nests rooted in the desert landscape. Everything looks fragile, yet incredibly alive. The men here are almost invisible, away with the livestock for days or weeks. It's their job and a key to survival, following pastures and water, moving wherever they can still sustain the herds.
Well, the locals live a very hard life in such a wasteland. Their meals are made from grains. They mash the porridge together and then boil it right here in this traditional, blackened big pot. This is their staple food, which they rely on every day. The small huts are built out of local, dry straw. They cool down and heat up very quickly, but if they were made of stone, it would simply be far too hot to sleep inside at night. Right now it keeps the wind out and looks quite nice, of course. The most important thing is that the goats don't chew off the walls. You can see many huts just like this all around the area. One hut serves as their main living space, while another one right next to it is used for keeping the goats inside.
Only the women remain, clearly acting as the village backbone. They handle homes, water, food, and children, gathering firewood, maintaining twig huts, cooking, and driving a daily rhythm that never stops. Even their conversations happen while working. Their hands are never empty. Inside these huts, another, less visible layer of life unfolds. This is where families discuss the future, negotiate marriages, and daughters are bought and sold. It is a community where women are many, and they are the center of all life. People raise many children. Polygamy is common in families, especially if a husband has more than one wife, particularly if his family is rich or owns more cattle.
The girls are so extremely shy and do not even want to show their faces or appear at all. There are many of them there. That's how they grill liver. They threw it onto the coals and it'll be done in a few minutes. Then they'll sprinkle salt. I'll have to try it.
Tonight at my camp, everything revolves around the fire. A local is cutting fresh goat meat, which will soon roast over the open flame. We use not only the meat, but all the other parts too. Nothing here is wasted. Smoke rises into the dark sky and a few of us sit around the fire. Conversations begin about the desert, travels, and marriages in this land. Then the talk gets more interesting, so turn up the volume, because some stories will truly shock you.
Which part of the goat do you like most?
I like liver.
Liver.
Yes. The best part of me.
Guys also like the liver most?
Yes, all.
All people the same liver.
All right, I guess I will definitely try it out too. Grilled liver, dipped right into the salt. It looks like this right here. It's incredibly tender. There is absolutely no strong goat or gamey flavor whatsoever. Honestly, it's very tasty.
So you have a wife, how many children?
3.
And your oldest child is...
My child, the first one is 8. The second is is 5. The baby is 8.
Okay,
8 months.
okay. So your wife is 23
My wife, she is 20.
and your oldest child is 8.
Yes.
Yes. So, and you married how many years ago?
About 8 years.
8 years ago.
Yes, yes. 8 or 9 years.
Or is it arranged marriage by parents or no?
No.
You
I
love.
arrange, yeah.
You arrange.
Yeah, I arrange it.
Pretty good campfire chats, right? So the guide explains that he actually married a girl when she was only 15 years old. He is 40 now, and his wife is currently 23 years of age.
Is it okay if you marry a girl of 15 years old?
Yes, no problem. Yeah.
Yes? Do you have to pay for parents some money or no?
No, you have to pay.
How much did you pay for parents?
Parents depending, huh?
No, you paid. How much?
I pay 300,000.
300,000.
Safer.
$450 for the wife.
Yes.
Are you planning to get the second wife?
Second and the third and
Yeah?
fourth. Yes,
Yeah.
of course. Yeah.
When? After 1 year?
After two.
After 2 years.
After 2 years. Yeah.
And how much does it cost now, today? A new wife, how much is it?
Depending by trips.
But more expensive, I guess.
More expensive, it is about 1,500 euro more.
And how you select? By the beauty or how?
By the tribe.
By the tribe.
Yeah, by the tribe. Some tribes they are very beautiful,
Hmm.
and some tribes so.
You look at the parents, ask the parents if
Ask
she's
the parents.
good.
No. You ask yes the parents and their yes the neighbor.
Mhm.
You ask before.
You ask before, you
ask
check.
before, yes.
And the parents ask her, do you want to marry
No,
Abdul?
you ask her directly the wife, the girl.
The girls, not the father.
No, you ask her. If you finish with her, after that you go to their parents, and you ask her, I need a tell girl. Your
Okay.
girls, and he tell you talk with her. You say yes. It is okay, no problem.
If you get the second wife, you have a second home for that wife?
No, in same way.
In same,
In south, but different rooms.
different room.
Maybe one room and the salon, and the other one room and the salon.
Uh-huh. So 1 week you stay in one wife room, another
No,
week. How
no,
you
depend. Sometimes 2 days, 2 days.
like
2
this?
days, yeah, and 2 days.
And wife is happy? She's okay, or she
She's
like?
okay here.
Or she don't like? No, second wife, no. Good.
No, it is no any problem.
You have heard the joke. When you have one wife,
Yeah.
you arguing with the wife. But when you have two wives, they argue between each other.
Yeah, you are like football. They play. One play and they give the
You
other
are
one
a
play.
ball.
And
You are a ball.
Look at how those goat ribs are grilling over the open flames. They are cooking up so beautifully. You can just hear the meat sizzling, and I'm definitely going to want a bite of that.
How many brothers and sisters do you have?
I don't have a sister, just a brother.
Brothers?
Four.
Four.
In my family are 5.
5 children in
Five,
total.
in total.
And her families are big in Chad.
Yeah, some it is bigger.
How many children?
About 8, 9, 10 also you can find.
10 children.
10, 12 you can find.
Wow. And how many wives is common?
Someone can have 3, 4 wives, 2 wives.
Many wives.
But in Jamaica, more of them have one.
Well, usually, of
Little
course.
bit, yeah.
You need money to have
Of
wives.
course, yes. Of course.
Not only to buy, but to support, I guess.
To
also.
support, yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, to support.
And what she studies? She studies something, your wife?
Yes, she studied a little bit English, French.
French.
She speaks French.
So she supports children and you work.
I work, yes.
You work.
This time, we ended up baking kidneys for dinner. Look at how beautiful his knife is. This right here is exactly what baked goat kidneys look like. You know, it is actually incredibly delicious when it's completely fresh. Let me show you one more knife that he has. Just look at this knife. Not only is it beautiful, but it is also very sharp. I'll try some fried heart too. This is what the cut looks like from that beautiful knife. Well, it has a different texture. But everything is fresh and easy to chew. The meat is actually very tasty. They told me that these are their absolute favorite items. Instead of goat ribs or ham, they prefer internal organs such as liver, kidneys, and heart, which they enjoy the most.
And can you get a divorce here in Chad?
Yes,
Yes?
but the men.
You can divorce.
I can.
Women
The
cannot
women
live.
now can't.
No, cannot.
Cannot.
Okay. Is it common to divorce or not?
No.
How many percent of marriages can divorce?
Divorce is,
in this country?
The men, yeah?
Yeah, how many percent?
Maybe 2 or 3%.
2-3% of
Yes.
divorces in
Yes.
Chad.
Yes.
And why they divorce? If she cannot have children, or why?
No, some problem in it.
And when your daughter will be 15 years old, what you gonna do? You gonna sell your daughter also or not?
My daughter?
Daughter, yes.
Yeah.
You gonna sell?
Yes.
For how much?
18, no, I don't need money. If the man can't take care be careful for her, I can give you.
If you like the boy, you
Yes.
say okay.
Yes, I give you.
But if your daughter say, I love this guy, but he's not okay for you.
I can't give him.
Cannot, yeah?
I can't.
You beat his ass.
Yeah.
But if he offer you some nice car, a Mercedes,
I give him directly. Yeah. This is the money. Now the money. I need to finish the money now.
These husbands.
And now the moment of truth with the goat ribs. Look at that exterior, it's a beautifully seared, ensuring there isn't a single trace of red meat left inside. You know, it looks like all the fat has completely melted away from it. The meat turned out a bit on the drier side, but it tastes great and has a nice campfire smell. Honestly, it probably tastes even better than lamb. You know, when the kid goat is truly fresh, you can really tell. The meat is just so tender and delicious.
Good morning from the Ennedi Plateau. I am hiking and thinking that this night was interesting. Before falling asleep, I lay in the tent for a long time with conversations by the campfire swirling in my head. Those simple evening gatherings, which at first seem light, but later leave many thoughts. Although I have seen a lot during my travels, there are still moments that shock and make me think. I headed down towards the water plant.
I walked down toward the water source. Well, it looks like a ghost town for now, since it's already midday and the animals usually come to drink in the morning and evening. There really isn't much action happening around here at this hour. I'm about to crawl into this cave right here. I can hear sounds from inside. Look, a donkey is coming out. A dragon probably lives in there. Well, inside this cave, where the echo is incredible, local kids are busy fetching water, having come here on their donkeys. Well, it's their responsibility to bring water back home.
From a young age, kids get involved in the hard work, helping their families carry water and tend livestock to survive in this incredibly harsh environment. Everything here relies on teamwork because otherwise you simply wouldn't survive. Walking between the cliffs, I reach the water source. It's like a small miracle in the desert, drawing all the life. And suddenly, camels appear. One by one, they approach the water calmly, without any rush. The Bedouins look after them here, washing them and providing precious water after long journeys through the shifting sand. Everything happens naturally, like a ritual repeated for hundreds of years.
I'm standing deep between the jagged cliffs, where a few local men brought camels to wash them. But camels really hate water. They won't lie down. They aren't hippos.
Watching the bustle at the water source, an absurd thought crossed my mind. Who hates water more, cats or camels? The Bedouins struggled for a really long time just to convince these desert kings to kneel down in the water. Everything moved beautifully at its own slow, natural pace. Kids with water canisters, dust, and absolutely no rush. The kids spent 3 whole hours fetching water. When everything is ready, the next scene begins. Donkeys are lined up into a caravan, slowly moving back to the villages with canisters tied to them, traveling along long, dusty roads through the sand.
Well, now I'm moving along with the caravan of kids and donkeys loaded down with water canisters, heading toward their village. I noticed that in this group of children, there are also several young girls, around 13 or 14 years old, walking along steadily with the caravan. In these parts, this is already an age considered suitable for marriage, and it looks very likely that they will be wed in the near future. I honestly never would have thought that I'd find myself traveling with a donkey caravan deep into the vast Sahara, heading toward these completely isolated villages just to get a rare glimpse of how they actually live. It's truly incredible to step back hundreds, maybe even thousands of years in time. This highly authentic experience is exactly what I'm always looking for.
This expedition is proving to be incredibly difficult for me. It's not just emotionally heavy after all the talks about early marriage, but it is also exhausting physically. The heat here just oppresses your body. Even when I stop, it feels like the desert is still draining my energy. The most important thing for me here is water. Not comfort, not staying connected, but simple water. Sometimes I drive for hours searching for water sources just to refill my supplies. And when I finally reach a place like that, I can see that I wasn't the only one waiting for it. There are local people, donkeys, and camels all gathered densely around the water. In places like this, you quickly start to view these simple things very differently.
I have never seen so many donkeys in one place. Everyone drinks so beautifully. There are so many animals here.
Driving across the Ennedi Plateau, it sometimes feels like I'm not on Earth. Around me are giant stone arches, narrow canyons, and rocks that look hand-carved by the wind. Some formations look like castles, others like frozen waves in the desert. And the strangest thing, none of this was made by humans. For thousands of years, the wind, sand, and time worked here. At sunset, the entire landscape turns almost red. But behind that beauty lies a very harsh reality. The entire Sahara and Sahel region is one of the hardest places to live on the planet.
It's probably hard to even imagine that the Sahara Desert could look like this, right? We stopped, and while I am looking at these incredible natural wonders, my driver, cook, and guide are usually praying. And it is not just that they are praying, but it is also currently Ramadan right now too. And imagine, in this intense heat, they don't even drink water, not to mention eating. That is completely out of the question. However, from the moment the sun rises until it completely sets, not a single drop of water enters their mouth, nor a bite of food. Absolutely nothing. And it's truly hot. I can't imagine how they survive. I ask them, is it hard? Well, they say, everything is fine. I just think incredible. I arrived at another spectacular place in the desert, a forest of stone. Let's go for a walk and admire it.
Millions of people here live on just a few water sources, like seasonal rains or rare water holes. In some places, people travel for hours just for water. Water here is not a backdrop to life. It is life itself. If there is no water, there are no animals, and no possibility of staying in one place. And that is exactly why everything here revolves around movement. Bedouins, caravans, and villages that adapt to the drought. Even children know from an early age that water is the most valuable thing. Traveling through Ennedi, that intense contrast is so deeply felt. On one side, you have some of the most beautiful natural sights I have ever seen in my life. On the other, a truly brutal daily struggle for the very simplest things we so very often take for granted every single day.
Hey guys, there is so much gritty sand stuck deep between my teeth right now. My goodness, it is everywhere. So there is a seriously intense sandstorm happening right now. It even feels like the tent might fly away at any second. Well, I'm pretty heavy, so it probably won't be that easy. Clearly, the Sahara can get really angry sometimes. Now it makes perfect sense why the Bedouins completely wrap up their mouth, their nose, their eyes, and everything else possible. Well, I hope to get some sleep, but I really don't think I'll ever manage to tonight. Good night. Good morning. What a crazy night that was, let me tell you. Just take a look at my tent now. Half collapsed, half blown away, and almost completely filled with sand inside. A true brutal Saharan sandstorm hit us right in the middle of the night last night, burying our camp. Naturally, I barely got any sleep at all last night. There is sand in my eyes, between my teeth, basically everywhere. I had to shake out every single piece of my things and clothes. We will see. I really hope that was the first and last night like that on this trip. Actually, it's not that scary. You probably need to experience a Saharan sandstorm once in your life to really feel it, but once is definitely enough. So this is exactly how they transport the meat, on the very same stick that cooks right beside the campfire. Right now, I am holding ribs in my hand. Well, at least they don't spoil in this 50-degree or 122 Fahrenheit heat.
Heading back from the Sahara, I suddenly see a very familiar sight. It's the exact same truck I saw a week ago, still sitting in the middle of the desert, loaded with Libyan goods like food and supplies. It hasn't moved a single inch since the last time I passed by. So now one thing is clear. It broke down and never moved. There's no roadside assistance or cell service out here in this desert. If you stop in the Sahara, you can end up stuck here for days or even weeks until someone finally finds you and comes to help you out.
You are looking at the exact same truck that I actually ran into just a week ago. It is broken down and completely stuck in the desert, and the guys here are simply continuing to live right under the truck for now, out here. They have a very large water tank with them, and honestly, they have plenty of food to last them a while. They transport absolutely everything out here, as you can see, from satellite dishes and water tanks to non-perishable foods like pasta. They were probably already stuck for about a week before this, and now it's been another week. The real question is, when will they actually get out of here? They will probably have to bring another truck just like it out here, transfer all the cargo over, and only then will they finally be able to slowly leave this entire place behind. Just imagine how long a journey across the desert with all these goods actually takes. Weeks. It takes practically the same amount of time as it would with camels, which carried everything for thousands of years. My driver, my guide, and my cook are all treating these complete strangers in a very warm and friendly way. They're complete strangers, but look, they sat down, chat, and drink tea. I see that our goat legs have disappeared, so it seems we are treating them to a good meal. It is completely unclear how many more days they will be stuck sitting here helpless. Tonight I am going to stay in the middle of nowhere, surrounded only by camels. Every now and then, a curious observer wanders over. The locals carry daggers strapped right onto their arms here. Just take a look at how traditional they are. They find it funny that someone is filming their daggers, but it's really interesting. Absolutely everyone has one. Grown adults with daggers, even a lone rider with a dagger. Absolutely all the local people carry them out here. Even my own driver has one and has shown me his own little traditional dagger before today. I'll show you in a moment. The dagger is in the car. There is the driver in the background, and he actually uses it. It's not just for show. And it's very sharp, by the way.
The road from the Sahara to N'Djamena is long and exhausting. It is hundreds of kilometers of dust, heat, and an almost endless horizon. Sometimes for hours you see nothing but sand and rocks.
A small local shop in the middle of the desert, covered with about 1 meter of sand. It's really hot.
After this expedition to Ennedi and the Sahara, I am taking back more than just beautiful views. It is the people and their daily lives that truly stay with you forever. Over these past days, I have seen how much hard effort the simplest things cost here: water, travel, or food. Yet, it shows how incredibly well humans can adapt to the world's harshest conditions and even thrive. Ennedi will stay with me forever as a place of absolutely incredible beauty on one side and a harsh reality on the other side. If you enjoyed traveling along with me, please hit that like button. Also, make sure to subscribe to the channel because I am going to keep traveling even deeper into hard-to-reach and often very dangerous places. See you.